Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is your brother Mikael Ahmed Smith here from Qalam. If you enjoy listening to our podcast, please donate to Qalam by visiting supportqalam.com. We love being able to share this content for free, and your donation ensures that we will always be able to do so. Each podcast we produce has thousands of listeners, so the support you give to this community in this effort brings immense reward. You never know who will benefit from your donation. Assalamu alaikum.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina wa Mawlana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Allahumma inna nas'aluka hubbak wa hubba man yuhibbuk wa hubba amalin yuqarribuna ila hubbik ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Allah, we ask you to make this a gathering in which we increase in our knowledge of you and your beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We ask you, Ya Allah, to make this a gathering whereby we become closer to you, Ya Allah. And we ask you to make this a gathering whereby we leave this gathering and our sins are forgiven, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So today, as we know, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi rahimahullah ta'ala in this book is highlighting different vices and different sins that are destructive to our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and which are destructive to ourselves in general. And Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi rahimahullah ta'ala, last week we spoke about now he's delineating the specific ma'asi, the specific sins that will destroy one's relationship with Allah. So last week we started with the primary disobedience, the primary ma'asiyah, which is shirk billah. And we broke that down from the perspective of dhulm, the concept of wada'u shay fi ghayri mahallihi, oppression or dhulm, which means to place something where it doesn't belong. And the highest form of dhulm, the highest form of that is to place worship in other than where it belongs. So now what that brings us into today is a topic which is called shirkul khafi. And Imam Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, أما الشرك في العبادة فهو أسهل من هذا الشرك وأخف أمرا فإنه يصدر مما يعتقد أنه لا إله إلا الله. He says, now I'm moving forward to a type of shirk, a type of associating partners to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is directly in worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In worship, so he says, this comes from people who believe in La ilaha illallah. They have the i'tiqad, they have the belief that there is one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and وَأَنَّهُ لَا يَضُرُّ. No one can harm but Him, no one can benefit from Him other than Him. He is the one that gives, He is the one that takes away. They have all of these beliefs, وَلَكِنْ لَا يُخْلِصُ لِلَّهِ فِي مُعَامَلَتِهِ. He says, however, they don't make their actions purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he uses a key word which is khulus, ikhlas. The actions aren't purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, as we began last week, it is extremely important to understand that tazkiyah of the nafs, tazkiyah of the soul, is fardul ayn. It is an obligation of every single person to purify their heart and to purify their soul from the radha'il, or the evil qualities of the heart, of the soul. And unfortunately, tazkiyah to nafs, the purification of the heart, the purification of the soul, has become a marginal topic in our masajid. We focus on the form of your back in ruku, but your heart's all over the place. We focus on your eyes right at the spot of sajda, but when you walk out the masjid, your eyes are on every haram. So we haven't really fixed and focus on one of the fardul ayn, and that fardul ayn is islahul qalb, or tazkiyatun nafs, rectifying the inner state of your heart and purifying the heart. And it's fardul ayn, and the reason is because we begin at one position, and our goal, this is very important to understand, the goal is i'budullah ka'annaka tarahu. The goal is to worship Allah as if you see Him. That is the goal. That's what we're striving for. Where every moment in the life is as if you see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, on the way there, like if you were to draw a beginning line, right? And draw a beginning point and draw a straight line, and the goal is u'budullah ka'annaka tarah, on the line you would put lines that would say hasad, a jealousy, anger, bughz, like hatred for someone, kibr. All of these are lines or hurdles that come across your way to that u'budullah ka'annaka tarah, right? And one of them is ikhlas and riyah. One of them is called, and each of them, subhanAllah, each of them has an opposite, right? Each of them has an opposite which you should be trying to beautify the heart with, but when you don't beautify the heart with it, the other side of it is what comes up. So, for example, kibr, arrogance, is one of those primary things, and we're going to talk about it in detail in the next halaqah, but kibr is one of those primary things which will stop you completely from getting to Allah. Completely, you won't be able to reach there. But what's the opposite that you're supposed to adorn your heart with? Humility, tawaba. Tawaba is humility. And the opposite of sukht, is to be displeased with Allah. To be displeased with whatever happens, frustrated with Allah's taqdeer. That's a hurdle that will come. What's the opposite of that? It's called rida. Rida is a quality of being pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So my point here, brothers and sisters, is that the objective is to adorn the heart with these beautiful qualities. And we have to work towards that. Now, the one we're talking about today is extremely hard to get rid of. And that is riyah. Now, the riyah, first and foremost, comes from the word, according to Imam Ghazali, ru'ya. And in Arabic language, what does ru'ya mean? To see or sight, right? So this concept of riyah, and I'll define it in a minute, but I just want to come around it at first. It comes from this root word of ru'ya, to see. And Imam Ghazali explains that why is riyah so difficult to get out of one's self? He says, because from the moment we're very, very little, we've always grown up seeking the approval, seeking the acceptance of parents and elders and those in our community. And as we said, as a child, if this one right here, I'm pointing to my daughter here, if this one right here was to draw a beautiful picture and to hide it under her pillow and said, I did it for the sake of Allah, we'd be like, we need a child psychologist here. We need someone to see what's going on here, because it's a part of normal development that we seek that kind of acceptance and that approval, right? It's a normal stage to want to show what you do. And it's totally normal. But the problem is that as we grow, you teach your children pretty quick, as they mature, that, hey Ahmed, hey Fatima, it's time to stop doing it to show. It's time to start doing it for a deeper reason, right? And that's part of the maturing of a normal person. Now, the exact same concept, brothers and sisters, applies to spiritual maturity and spiritual immaturity. A spiritually mature Muslim doesn't need pats on the back anymore. The spiritually mature Muslim, Karima, please. The spiritually mature Muslim doesn't necessarily need to say, hey guys, I woke up for Fajr today. And we go, oh, mashallah, great job, Ahmed, mashallah. The spiritually mature Muslim doesn't go, hey guys, I lowered my gaze today. Give me a high five. No, because we understand. Now, in the beginning, we go, Ahmed's fasted today. He's only 5 years old. We go, Takbir, Allahu Akbar. But as you mature, the idea is to let go of the training wheels. Those training wheels are the need for social acceptance. Now, I think one of the reasons and one of the things that is really troubling today is the breakdown of the family. And I'm going to tie it to Riyah very closely. The family is the place where you learn that you're appreciated first. The family is the place where you first get that, someone looked at my drawing and said, mashallah. Like, you can't even tell what it is, but you go, that's amazing, right? Right? You just give it everything you got, right? There's a funny meme about that, but whatever. Right? But the point is that the family is the place where you first get that lesson that I'm appreciated in this world. Now, what happens if you don't get that? What happens if Baba's not at home, Mama's too busy, and no one's there to appreciate anything Abdullah does? Abdullah comes home with straight A's, and he's like, Guess it's for Allah. Ain't nobody here. Or they're too busy to appreciate the accomplishment of Ahmed or Fatima. So now what happens is we now seek out that acceptance, that appreciation from somewhere else. We seek out that appreciation, that acceptance from other places other than Allah, other than that family, because we didn't get it anywhere else. And this is where this is how we end up hooked on social media, where we'll get likes, hooked on Instagram, where we'll get some appreciation for what I did, because someone in society has to give me worth, and someone says, I need someone to tell me, good job, you did a good job. So I think the family and the household, if you have little siblings, if you have brothers and sisters, even if you didn't get it, you have to appreciate the accomplishments they make so that they go through the steps of maturing. Or you know what happens? They get stuck in that phase of, I need someone to pat me on the back for whatever I do. They don't go to the next level. Alright, so Imam Ghazali, rahimahullah, he explains that this particular disease of the heart that has to be cleaned, Fardul Ain. Fardul Ain. What does Fardul Ain mean? Obligatory on each and every person. The reason why it's so difficult is because we naturally grow and have it, but we have to get rid of it over time. We have to get rid of it over time. Now, when we look at an action, first and foremost, when we look at an action, the Imam today, Hafiz read an ayah, وَلَنَسْأَلَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ وَلَنَسْأَلَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ أَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Allah says that وَلَنَسْأَلَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. We will question all of them. فَوَرَبِّكَ نعم فَوَرَبِّكَ لَنَسْأَلَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ. Allah says, I swear by your Lord, we will question all of them. Then the next verse goes, عَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ, regarding the actions they used to do. Now, here's the thing. What's the aspect of questioning regarding the action? Do you know what I mean by that? When Allah says He's going to question you about the action, many times we focus on whether I did it or not. Right? Whether I prayed salah, whether I lowered my gaze, whether I paid zakat, whether I checked it off or not. But this concept of being questioned about the actions is much deeper. It's not just about whether you did it, but what? What's the next thing? Well, why you did it. Why you did it. Now, here's the key. You know how we talk about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq? The word Siddiq, what does Siddiq mean in English? Truthful, right? But there's a deeper meaning. It's when the inner and the external match. See, Siddiq, you call someone a liar when they say something to you and they're trying to play you. Right? Yo, you're lying. Even if he's telling the truth, but his heart is different. Right? Politician style. He's telling the truth, but his heart doesn't mean that. You go, you're lying, man. Use another acronym for it. B and something else, right? Use another acronym. We say, yo, you're BSing. Right? What does that mean? It doesn't mean you're lying. It means the outward and the inner don't match. So the concept of Riyah, the reason why Riyah is so hated by Allah is because, and why is it called another type of shirk? It's called another type of shirk because now this action, this gift, which was solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has now been attributed to something else as well. Right? So today what I want to go through today is look at in the Quran, look at in the Hadith this concept of Riyah. And then talk about, well, what is Riyah actually? And then talk about how to cure Riyah. Inshallah, that's what we'll be speaking about today specifically. Because this is a major, major problem. He narrates a narration here. He says, بَلْ يَعْمَلْ لِحَظِّ نَفْسِهِ تَارَةً. He says, this person, لَكِنْ لَا يُخْلِصْ لِلَّهِ فِي مُعَامَلَتِهِ. This person doesn't make the action purely for Allah. وَلَكِنْ بَلْ يَعْمَلْ لِحَظِّ النَّفْسِ. He does the action for his or her own nafs. Or to get dunya. Or to get a higher status or famous. In the khalq, in the sight of people. And so on and so forth. And he's like, there's a hadith, وَهُوَ الشِّرْكِ. This is a form of shirk. الَّذِي قَالَ فِيهِ النَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, الشِّرْكِ فِي هَذِهِ الْأُمَّةِ. The shirk in this ummah. Right? The shirk in our ummah, أَخْفَى مِن دَبِيبِ النَّمَلِ. I'm going to come back to this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ in this hadith, he says, the shirk that my ummah will perform is more subtle than the, if you can even call them, footsteps of an ant. The shirk of this ummah is more subtle than the footsteps of an ant. قَالُوا كَيْفَ. The Prophet, the Sahaba said, كَيْفَ نَنْجُو مِنْهُ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. The Sahaba said, Ya Rasul, how are we going to protect ourselves from this? We'll talk about practical steps. But here the Prophet ﷺ, he said, قَالَ قُلْ اللَّهُمَّ إِنِّي أَعُوذُ بِكَ أَنْ أُشْرِكَ بِكَ شَيْءٍ أَعْلَمُهُ وَأَسْتَغْفِرُ لِمَا لَا أَعْلَمُ. Well, I'll teach this dua at the end, but we'll repeat this dua at the end together so we can learn it. But the Prophet ﷺ, he said, read this dua. And the dua is, Oh Allah, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika. Oh Allah, I seek refuge with you from associating partners with you knowingly. And I ask you, Allah, to forgive me for when I unintentionally associate partners with you. We'll come back to this, inshallah ta'ala. Khair. Let's look at this. What is Riyah? First thing first. What is Riyah? First thing first, Riyah comes from the root word ru'ya. Ru'ya. Which means to be seen. Which means sight. Which means sight. One easy way to understand Riyah, if I was to put it in one sentence and just drop the mic and be like, yo, halaqa's over for today. Riyah is when the ru'ya of people is stronger than the ru'ya of Allah relating to you. That's it. When the ru'ya of people's sight, eyes on you, is higher or more significant than the ru'ya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on you. At every moment, if you can consider that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking at you more closely and his looking at you is more important, you will be saved from Riyah. But the moment you elevate people's looking at you above Allah's looking at you, you fall into Riyah of many types. So like if we could give one definition, it's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking at you, ru'ya is placed under the ru'ya of people at you. So now how does Imam Ghazali rahimahullah define Riyah? Listen to this. He says, هو طلب المنزلة في قلوب الناس بإيرائهم خصال الخير. He says, Riyah is طلب المنزلة في قلوب الناس. I want you guys to really think over this definition. He says, هو طلب المنزل. It's to seek out a level or a status في قلوب الناس, in the hearts of people. It's to seek طلب المنزلة. Manzila means like a status, like level 1, level 2, level 3. These are manzil, manazil, right? So it's to seek out in people's hearts a level, right? You want people to hold you in a certain level. So how do you seek that out? بِإِرَائِهِمْ, by showing them خِصَالُ الْخَيْرِ, by showing them righteous actions. How does everyone understand this definition? It's very interesting, very, very beautiful way how he explains it. And you can actually understand, how evil this is when you realize that I want to be in everyone's heart. I want to have a position in everyone's heart, and I'm going to use whatever it takes to get in that position. So Imam Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala, he explains the things one can show off with. So mura'i, the things one can use as means by which to gain position in people's hearts are the following 5 things. These are 5 things Imam Ghazali rahimahullah is giving us. These are the things people use to gain status in the status. You know, subhanAllah, today we even say, update your status. Like, subhanAllah, like, did they like intentionally look through that like hadith and like, how should we design these shaitani things? Like, literally, like, how should we design it? All right, let's just learn this and do the exact opposite of it. That's it right there. So he says there's 5 things. One uses their body. Now this is male and female. You know what I'm saying? Instagram, he's like, right? Whatever, right? Showing off. Okay? Number 2, clothes, style. Number 3, speech and actions. All of this is Instagram. Number 4, guess what he says next? Followers. SubhanAllah. Like literally, Imam Ghazali, you going to do us like that? Imam Ghazali says one uses body to show off, one uses clothes to show off. And remember, what does riyah mean? To seek level status in the heart. Come forward, man. Someone's got to fill this spot, Shaykh. Come on. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. So Imam Ghazali says what? In order to seek a level in the hearts of people, how do we do that? One of 5 things. Now, what he's explaining at this point is that you can use dunya and deen to try to get position in people's heart. Like some people use deen, but not everyone uses deen. Some people use dunya. But he says whether it's deen or dunya, it's going to be one of these 5 things that people use in order to get that status in people's hearts. You understand what I mean by this? Again, I'm going to say that again. Deen or dunya. You either one. You can use either one. But whatever it is, you're going to use one of these 5 things in order to seek that status in people's hearts. SubhanAllah. Number 1 was physical body form. Number 2, clothes and style. Clothes and style. Number 3, speech and actions. Speech and action. Uses their words to get that position in people's hearts. Number 4, followers. Look how many followers I have. Come on, join on. Come on. And then he says, he says, al-ashya al-kharija. He's like, just things. Like, look what I got. I got this. Look, I got this. I got this. I got this car. I got this. I got this. So these things, he says, people need these things. Now, if someone uses these things to gain position in people's hearts, he says that it can be one of 3 levels. It's not getting too technical for you, is it? No. Alright, cool. He said it can be mubah, which means okay. It can be permissible, or it can be haram. What are we talking? Are we talking about using deen, using like salat to get in? Like, remember, when we talk about riyah, let me back up for a moment. When we normally talk about riyah, we're talking about you praying salah so people see you, right? Right now, Imam Ghazali is like, hold on, before we even talk about that, I want to start you off somewhere else. People use all 5 things to normally get that position in people's hearts. Sometimes it's deen, sometimes it's dunya. Everyone understand? Now, you go for a job and they ask for your resume. Are you going to be sitting there like hiding what you do good? Like, nah, I did that for Allah, yo. I can't. I'm like, next. So Imam Ghazali explains, listen, showing off what you did, seeking fame through these things can be one of 3 levels. Now this is not deen at all, it's all dunya. Mubah, what does mubah mean? It means allowed. Mubah means just allowed, it's okay. Number 2, and you know what example he gives for this? Like he gives the example of giving like a lot of money to like a politician. Right? So people see you gave it. But you don't have any intention for reward. You're rich, you're loaded, you don't make intention for sadaqah, but you just want people to know you're whatever. So he gives wealth without the intention of what? Sadaqah. See, if he made intention for sadaqah, then it has to be what? Purely for Allah. Okay, everyone understand? So that's mubah. He's like, it's mubah, whatever, you could do it, it's your money. Right? Number 2, permissible. You know a good example of this? When Yusuf alayhi salam applied for the job of treasurer, and he's like, Inni alimun hafiz. Like, yo, I know how to do this. I got knowledge. Give me the job. See, that's good. See, we want a Muslim in that position, so that he could do what's good, But he showed his actions in order to get that position. Bam, permitted, right there. So that resume, yo, fill it up. Right? Put all those extra, volunteer this, everything. Put it all in there. No riyah, mashallah. And then he says, obviously there can be a haram usage of this, and everything we're going to go into next is going to be talking about all these different haram types of riyah. Everything else we're going to be talking about is the different haram types of riyah. So let's go forward now. Now, next thing. Imam Ghazali rahimahullah explains that there are 4 levels of riyah. 4 levels. I always break these things down into levels and things like this so you can study it and learn it, right? And actually put everything in its proper category. So the first thing, it's a bit warm, right? I don't know. AC on? Huh? Please, jazakallah khair. Appreciate it. Okay, he says, listen, first thing first, 4 levels. First level is this. The action is only for the sake of people with no trace of it being for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the worst level, and for this the person not only doesn't get reward, but guess what? They get sin. So this is like a person, like he praying salah with no wudu. Like, alright, y'all praying, I'm gonna pray. No wudu, nothing. So this person, if we were to look at 2 things. Nadia, please go. Sorry. 2 things. See, when we talk about riyah, understand this. For every action, there has to be an insider to the action. There has to be something pushing you out of bed for fajr. There has to be something waking you up for tahajjud. There has to be something pushing you, right? So there can be one of 2 things pushing you. Guess what? The desire for the reward from Allah. Or the people seeing you and what that will create in their heart for you. Understood? 2 things. Now, in relation to these 2 things, there's 4 categories of riyah. The first is that the desire for good is 0. And you're only doing it because people are watching you. That's the only reason. No other feeling at all. Imam Ghazali explains, for this, not only do you not get reward, but it's sinful as well. And this brings the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Level number 2. He says, the intention for a reward is weak. Dude's like, yeah, I'll get a little reward. But if he was by himself, he wouldn't do the action at all. So it's the real push behind the action is the fact that the people are watching. So there's a little desire for reward, but if it wasn't for the other factor, which was people watching me right now, I wouldn't do it at all. So that is the primary catalyst, that is the primary insider to the action. And he's like, for this one, there's no reward for the action, and it's sinful as well, but it's nowhere near as sinful as the first one. Fahimtum, inshallah? Alright, number 3. He goes, what do you think's the next one? Huh? Yeah, exactly. He goes, the people watching you alone isn't enough to make you do it, but the reward alone also isn't enough to make you do it. So both of these things together are like, oh, I'm going for Fajr, alright, cool. Right? Such and such, Amu's there, he's going to see me there. I'm trying to get married, so. Whatever. The point is that, like, the push, and you're like, yeah, plus the hadith, yeah. Like, both of those things together get you out of the bed to do that action. Right? Or think of sadaqah. They're fundraising, right? And, like, by yourself, if you were by yourself, you're like, no, I ain't giving nothing, right? But the fact that everyone's watching, plus the reward, like, yes, 10,000, I got it. Right? Okay, cool. He said, now listen, what do you think the result of this is? He says, no reward, but guess what? Inshallah, no sin as well. He puts this right in the middle. So like you did that action, and it was equally balanced between showing off pushing you and the reward pushing you. Guess what? No sin, but also no. You see how each one pushes away the other one? You could correlate the 2. Everyone understand the correlation between the 2, right? Fahimtum? Fine. Alright, so he says, inshallah, for this, no reward and no sin. Now, the last one, he says, the knowledge that people see you slightly pushes you, but if they weren't present, the action would still happen. They're not there, you're still going to pray. You're still going to pray Isha at home, Fajr at home. You're still going to do it. But if they were there, you might do it better. You might go out to the masjid. You might do more. He says, inshallah, you get the reward. He says, inshallah, you get the reward. So like, now Imam Ghazali explains, shirkul khafi, the lower level of shirk, which is considered smoother than or lighter than the steps of an ant, as the hadith says. He says,
This is like, the example he gives is that it's like a person who always prays tahajjud. Imagine this. It's like a person, we're talking about that first level. I mean the lowest, number 4 actually. Like a person who always prays tahajjud. But today Fatima's sleeping over my house. So now I always pray. But guess what? Because she's here, guess what happens? It gets easier to get up. You get what I'm saying? It gets easier. Now, don't you realize how subtle that is in the heart? Does everyone understand? Like, can you notice how subtle of a change that would be inside the heart? That's why the Rasul ﷺ, he said, the shirk that I'm worried about is this really, really subtle level of shirk where other people join in the actions that we do. Understand what he's saying? So going forward, he says, okay, a lower level than this, he goes a lower level. Now, a more subtle level. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty of riyah. We're getting down to the lower levels of riyah. He's like, the next level is this. You hide your actions. You don't want anyone to know. You hide it to the max. What does the hadith say? We did it in our seminary year. You give sadaqah so quietly that what? The left hand doesn't know. So you're hiding it. What happened?
You just turned on its own.
Just press the button again, like the power button. It should come back on. Just hold it and it'll come back on. Or else you just got to stand there like the boy with his finger.
It's on.
Tayyib. It's alright, they can watch it crooked. Tayyib. So he says that this level of yes, you hide it to the max. You hide it as much as possible. You don't want anyone to find out about it. So you hide it to the max. But, and this is hard, and we're going to talk about it. When people find out, what happens? You get happy. You get happy. You're right? That no one knows I'm fasting today. But once they find out, we like, yeah. Yeah. So that, Imam Ghazali says, that's the dangerous one. Now he says, listen closely. He says, when that feeling comes, if you don't fight that feeling, the feeling that I would be happy if people found out. If you don't fight that feeling, guess what? It creeps up to the next level where you start like trying to get people to find out without telling them directly. He's like, it creeps up slowly. Y'all know how to do that, right? Like we got mad ways to let people know we fasted without saying it. Right? What do you say, Saw? You're Sawing too. He's always fasting. His name is Sawing. We got ways to let people know I woke up for Fajr today. Right? Subtle ways. I'm tired today. Now you waiting for the question. Why are you so tired today? Oh, well, I can't lie right now. This is Shaitan's logic. Shaitan's like, you gotta spell the truth, right? So tell him the truth.
But then the follow-up question, Shaykh, shouldn't you be tired every day?
Yeah, exactly, right? If you get up all the time. For Fajr, right? Yeah, of course. So listen closely to this though. So listen to this. The Prophet, Imam Ghazali rahimahullah ta'ala, what is he saying? He's saying the akhaffa shirk, the lowest level of shirk, of riyah, is that you wish people knew. They don't know, but you get happy at the thought that they would know. You get happy at the thought that they would know. Now he posed a question. He said, but wait, isn't it okay to kind of get happy? To be happy at people knowing you did good? Is there any circumstances? And he said, yes, there are 3 circumstances, guys. 3 circumstances where it's okay to be happy that people found out about righteous deeds that you were doing. Situation number 1. Your intention was purely to hide it. Purely to hide it, right? But Allah forces it to come out. Allah forces that thing to come out. Like you did your best, but then Allah forces that information to come out, and you become happy because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's happiness with you, and you don't at all care about the praise of the people. This is purely in your heart, guys. There is no way for me to judge this brother. No way for me to judge this brother. This is purely inside here. He goes, it comes out, but you're pleased at Allah's happiness. You're not pleased that now this is going to force me to get a spot in this guy's heart. This person will start treating me better, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. That's the first level. He says number 2 situation where it's okay is that Allah makes it come out. Now, when Allah makes your good come out, what's the first thing you should realize? The first thing you should realize when Allah makes good come out is that this is Allah's satr on you. What does satr mean? Cover. Satr jameel. The satr jameel, Allah's beautiful covering of you. There's a dua, Alhamdulillah alladhi adhara al-jameel wa satr al-qareeb. All praise to Allah who brings out the beautiful but covers the bad. Y'all know what I mean by that. Like people in your family, they see the beautiful, but then Allah covers all that bad. That's Allah's satr. We call that the satr of Allah, the covering of Allah. So he says the second situation is when you deduce from the fact that in this dunya Allah has covered up my sins and shown my good, so therefore in the akhirah Allah is going to do the same thing, so you become happy. Do you get it? Okay. There's a hadith that says that, the one who Allah covers their sins in this world, Allah will definitely cover their sins in the akhirah. Right? Understood? So he's saying the situation where you're allowed to become happy with people knowing the good is when you realize or deduce from the fact that Allah made this come out, that look, if Allah made my evil hidden and made my good come out in this dunya, then what? What's going to happen in the akhirah? So because of that deduction, you become happy. Everyone understand? Okay. And then he says the third position, the third situation you become happy is when you feel or know that people hearing about this will now push them to do something righteous. So your happiness is only for that reason. Only because, look, now someone else is going to come for Fajr. Someone else is coming for Fajr, right? So you know that, if I tweet, or not tweet, if I text my girls, whatever, I went to Fajr today, or I did this today, whatever, you know it's going to force someone else to, then that's a reason for being happy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed that action to become exposed. Tayyib? Alhamdulillah. Okay, so now, what we want to talk about at this point is the cure for Riyah. The cure for Riyah. This is extremely important for us to understand. Like I said at the beginning of today's halaqah, learning how to purify your heart is fardul ayn. Just like wudu, purifying your body is fard, purifying your heart is fardul ayn. You have to learn tazkiyatun nafs. Right? Dude's got perfect wudu. Heart is full of garbage. Perfect prayer. Riyah, hasad, everything. Dude, check yourself, man. But that's the real thing that's supposed to be checked. So, we're going to talk about the how to cure it. Okay? First thing first, you have to understand the evils of Riyah. First evil of Riyah is the maqt of Allah, the hatred of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hadith tell us over and over again that the one who does an action that was supposed to be for Allah, for the sake of people, this person is hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So hatred of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, number 1. Number 2, the action is destroyed. This is the consequence of Riyah. The action, no ajr, nothing. It didn't happen. You might as well have slept. You're better off sleeping, seriously, than going to Fajr for which is showing off. Because you got nothing for it. Number 3, he says you have to realize what we mentioned before is that Riyah is naturally inside of you, and it won't come out until you mature and actually take it out of you. So the point we all have to realize is that don't self-delude yourself. Realize I have this in me as well, and it's not going to come out until I get it out. Okay, so how do we get rid of it? There's going to be 2 things we're going to do. Number 1, we're going to talk about number 1. Oh, you want number 3 again? I saw you looking around. You want number 3? Number 3 was that you have to realize that Riyah is present in everyone from birth, and it won't come out until you make an effort to take it out. Okay? Now, how
do we do that? Two things we're going to do. Imam Ghazali teaches us we're going to do qala' uruqiha. We're going to, number one, rip out the source of it. Number one. And number two, remove that which is currently present. Two things we're going to do regarding Riyah. Now, the base of Riyah is love of fame and status, which can be broken down into three things. I'll say that again for those taking notes. The base of this problem of Riyah is love of status. Love of name and status, which is huge today. Huge. And it can be broken down into three sub-problems. Love of the feeling when you get praised, avoiding of the pain when you get blamed, and desire for what people have. I got to speak on each one of these. First problem, love of praise. Some of us, we thrive on people patting our back. We need that constantly. If no one pats me on my back, I can't go forward. We love the praise. It like energizes us, hypes us up, it keeps us going. So first issue is love of praise. These touch home for a lot of us, okay? Number two, fear of blame. You know when someone's like, you did it wrong, and it like rips you up? Like that, how it hurts? He's like, fear of blame is the second problem that causes this riyah. Love of praise and fear of blame. He's like, subhanAllah, he gives an example. He's like, sometimes a person will be amongst generous people who are giving, and he himself is stingy, but this person gives because they fear the blame of the people watching them. It's the only thing that made them give that sadaqah was the fear of blame. And number three, it's crazy. He says, desire for what is in the control of people. Fi aydin nas. The desire to have what people, the literal meaning means what's in the hands of people. But I want you to think of it more general. You desire what people have control over. So what he's trying to tell you, if you want to cure riyah, three things. Stop wanting what people have, meaning there's nothing Isa has that I want. Everything I want, guess who can give it to me? Done, right there. I'm going to say that again. There's nothing in Isa's hands. A job, money, a car. There's nothing in his hands that I want. Or nothing in his power that I want. It's all in the hands of Allah. You really got to drill that inside. Right? Because then you're like, yo, I don't care if you don't give it to me. Like, I don't care if you don't praise me. I don't care. You don't have what I need. You know, only when I want what you have do I like suck up. You know what I'm saying? When I want that grade in class, then I start sucking up to the teacher. Right? When I want that such and such, his daughter's hand in marriage, then I'm like, hey, Anu, what you doing this weekend? I want to hang out. Because you want what's in his control to some extent. You understand what I mean? So to completely, like, if it's in your control, I don't want it. The second one was what? Fear of blame. Listen, subhanAllah, the way he explains this, he says that, what's the cure for this one, fear of blame? He's like, you can never please everyone. You really got to drill this in your heart. That the moment you please one person, this auntie's upset. The moment you please mom, dad is upset. The moment you please this person's upset. The moment you please anyone, there's another group of people that are going to be like, why are you doing it? I know y'all heard about the donkey and the boy and the man.
Yep.
Is there any one person who hasn't heard? You haven't heard about the donkey, the boy, and the man? Alhamdulillah, I love telling this story. I always look for like, what? You don't know it? All right, let me tell you. Is there anyone else that doesn't know it? Thank you. Yes, alhamdulillah. Okay. All right. So there's this boy, there's this man traveling with a donkey, and he has this young boy on the back of the donkey. So they're traveling past a village, right? And it's different narrations, whatever, I'm giving my style, right? They're passing by a village, and the people see this, and they go, look at this boy. No adab for his father. He's making his father walk. Look at no adab. So the father hears this, and he wants to adjust. He doesn't like blame of people. He wants everyone to be happy with him. So what does he do? He gets off. He gets his son off, and he gets on the donkey, and then they keep going. They pass by another village, and these people see, they're like, man, look at this oppressive father, man, making his poor son walk while he rides the donkey. Man, the father hears this. He's like, man, I don't like the blame of people. He gets off. They both walking. They pass by another village. Yeah, look at these two fools. Allah gave them a donkey, and they both walking. So the father's like, man, forget this. He puts the donkey on his back. Like, that's the last one I add to it, right? The point though, right? Never forget that. Wallahi, that, I said wallahi like 3 times here. It's maybe because I called y'all on that,
they
right?
both ride the donkey and people say...
Yes, I forgot one. They both get on the donkey and people are like, look at these people oppressing the donkey. Yes, there you go. The point being what, guys? You gotta remember this. We live in a society where we're constantly trying to appease people. Stop trying to appease people because it will drive you insane. Guess what? Appease one thing. Allah. That's it. That's it. Just move over. I'm trying to appease everyone. No. There's a hadith. Man talaba rida nas fi sakhatillah. Beautiful hadith. Whoever seeks out the pleasure of people in the anger of Allah, Allah will get angry with that person and cause the people to be angry with that person. But whoever seeks out the pleasure of Allah, regardless of the anger of the people, Allah will be pleased with him and make the people pleased with him as well. Stop pleasing people. Just drop it. There's no end to it. You'll be running from here to there, here to there. Just one thing every morning. You wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, what do you say? Allahumma kama hasanta khalqi fa hassin khuluqi. All I'm worried about is Allah's eyes on me today. And now I won't change my clothes 15 times. Right? I'm over here right now. You change your clothes 15 times in the morning because you like, but if he sees me then, if she sees me then, if this person, you're going crazy. You're going crazy. Just walk out like, yo, Allah sees me, bam, let's go. Now that means I look good still. I, made myself look good, trimmed up here a bit, looking good, but I'm not worried about what people think. I go on my day. I go about my day. Stop trying to please the people. So 3 things. Seeking the praise of people. This is also very dangerous. Seeking the praise of people is the very first thing. And he says you have to realize that the praise of people don't do nothing for you. You really got to take this in your heart. What did you get when people praise you? Nothing. You fear the blame. What did you get by their blame? Nothing. Nothing. At one time, I'll tell you something that really stuck in my heart. And I don't know if I'll be able to articulate it the way it hit me, but I'll try to. I was riding in the car one time with my teacher. And he was driving. And he had a imama on, right? A turban on, right? And he was driving. And, he made a slight mistake or something. Very small, right? And you know how people, overreact, right? So the dude, he looked over at us and he was like, and I'm all in the hearts of people, me, right? What we're not supposed to. I'm worried about everybody on the road, make everybody happy with me. So he says, he doesn't even look over. And he says something like, no matter what you do, people will be upset. And he just kept rolling. Now he wasn't all over the road, he just made a slight mistake, something. But he didn't even look over. We pull up, we're like, every person, why are you in every car? My wife, she's here, she knows. Why are you in every car? Because you in every heart. No, all jokes aside, you in every car because you in every heart. Get out of every heart and connect with Allah. You get what I'm trying to say? Stop being in everyone's heart. Just connect to Allah. That's it. You will go crazy if you keep trying to please people.
And you will be free, I'm telling you. The moment you stop seeking praise, you stop caring about blame. And what's the last one? You stop wanting what's in the hands of people. Stop wanting what's in the hands of people. So, all right, so that is, that's the main cure. The main cure is this knowledge. The main cure of this riyah are these knowledges, these points. The blame of people, the praise of people, and wanting what's in their hand. And the cure for that he explains, is that knowledge, first and foremost, knowledge of the negative consequences of riyah, right? Knowledge of the negative consequences of Allah, and we already talked about that. But also knowledge that the blame and the praise of people doesn't do anything for you. And understanding how it affects you psychologically, where you're at. You're running from all here to there, all over the place. So main thing I want to end this halaqah with, inshallah ta'ala, mashallah, 52 minutes. Okay, the main thing I would like to end this halaqah with is the emphasis on you guys realizing that tazkiyatun nafs, purifying your heart from these things, is fardul ain, and it's something Sunday school don't talk about too much. And it's something that the people on the member don't talk about too much. But it's something that is a key element of the deen. A key element. So you have to learn how. Today we learned, how do I remove riyah? At least now you should be able to detect riyah. You should be able to detect, did anything else push me to this action? One of the key signs is, do you feel the same level of encouragement when people are watching and when they're not? That's the biggest thing. You know that yourself. How is your prayer when nobody's watching? And how is it in the masjid? That right there is that key thing. All right? If you see a difference, there's some hint of riyah. If there is no difference, this is called sidq. What is sidq? When the external matches the internal. So we ask Allah to give that to us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take out of our hearts that strong concern for what people think about us, and to replace that with the strong concern of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thinks about us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our actions pure for His sake. Whatever we do, we ask you, Ya Allah, to make our actions purely for your sake, Ya Allah. We ask you to forgive us, Ya Allah, for whatever actions we did. If there was any slight hint of the action being for someone else, for something else, Ya Allah, we ask you to take that out of our heart, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Guys, I really don't feel I did justice to this topic enough. I know it's for many of us who are starting on the journey. Remember, if you just came a little late, remember what I said. Maturity. If you're at a beginning stage in your Islam, you could be a convert or not, it don't matter. But if you're at a beginning stage of Islam, you may still need what? That encouragement, yes. And that's okay. Okay? Okay? But there's a point where you gotta move on. Right? So I want you to realize that if you're at that stage that you still need that encouragement, fabiha. It's okay. Alhamdulillah. That's khair, inshallah. That will get you moving. But I taught you today where you're supposed to get at. And where you're supposed to get at is that the people's eyes are like the eyes of other. I didn't want to give the example that I've read in books because it sounds bad. But can I give you an example? So this guy was in the masjid, right? In like one of those back home masjids, right? So he hears the door of the masjid open. He's alone and he's praying. So he hears the door of the masjid open, right? So he kind of like stretches his prayer a little longer. And then when he turns around, he realizes that a dog strayed into the masjid. And the whole time he was lengthening his prayer for a kalb that came into the masjid. Like, what did you get? But if reality is, if a person was there, it's the same reality. What did you get? And stop trying to be in people's hearts. That's the key for me today. Like, why do I want to be in someone's heart? What do I want from them? There's more to say on it. Time is up, inshallah. May Allah give us tawfiq. I hope this was beneficial for everyone, inshallah ta'ala. And just know your level, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of your righteous deeds, inshallah ta'ala. But know our goal, where we're trying to get to. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Jazakallah khair. Sorry. Any questions? Yeah, my bad. Yes. Go ahead, you first. Oh, the dua. Yes. Let's first do the dua. I'll read it in Arabic. Then I'll translate it. I'll read it a few times in Arabic. For those who want to write it down or try to memorize it. The dua is Allahumma. You can repeat after me. That's okay. It's not bid'ah, alright? Allahumma inni a'udhu bika an ushrika bika shay'a a'lamuhu wa astaghfiruka lima la a'lamu. Let's do the English, inshallah. At least we can read the dua. Allah listens to English duas as well, inshallah. Oh Allah, I seek refuge from associating partners with you knowingly. And, hold on, you don't have to repeat it, I'm just saying it slowly. Oh Allah, I seek refuge with you from associating partners with you knowingly, like on purpose. I know I'm showing off. Wa astaghfiruka, and I ask you for forgiveness for when I unknowingly do it. That's the dua, okay? Oh Allah, I seek refuge with you from purposefully or knowingly associating partners with you. And I ask you forgiveness for when I do it unknowingly. That's the dua, inshallah. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever reads this dua in the morning and evening will be protected from riyah. Like the whole khutbah, the Prophet ﷺ said, just read this dua morning and evening, you're good. You will be protected from riyah. So imagine you come to Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah's like, you had riyah. You're like, yo, but I read the dua. Yeah, good. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Inshallah, right? So just learn that dua. If someone wants me to read it into if someone knows it, read it into someone's voice note for them so that they have it, inshallah. And that way, if you read it like 3 days straight, you got it. You know, that's how. Huh? Oh, our Telegram group. Yeah, inshallah. For those of you who don't know, we have a Telegram group just for this halakha, local people, so they know when the halakha is and stuff like that, inshallah. So I can post it on the group. That would be great, inshallah. If you're not on the Telegram group, someone can add you. Another question. You got a question? Oh. Yes.
So the thing that I get confused about a lot, and it's probably too big to address, but the difference between what you're talking about being in people's hearts, or like when you're being in the heart of your spouse. Like when you're doing something just to please them, or because you know it'll make them happy, even if you don't really want to.
But isn't that, so what I think about that is, okay, great, that's a great question. When it was either Hassan or Hussein, radiallahu anhum, who asked Ali, their father, "Oh Ali, oh Dad, do you love me?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Do you love my father? Do you love my brother?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Well, how do you love us and love Allah when Allah says, مَا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِرَجُلٍ فِي قَلْبِهِ
ما جعل الله لرجل من قلبين
مِنْ قَلْبَيْنِ فِي جَوْفِهِ." So he said, how do you have all these love? He said, no, I only love you for the sake of Allah. It's only for Allah's sake. I think when it comes to pleasing a spouse, that is purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah. Like, I'm serving you, I'm taking care of you, I'm loving you because God told me to, and not for anything of my own desire. Like the sincerity there, I'll give you an example. Many spouses will show love when they can get something back. You know what I mean? Okay, right? Y'all know that. There's only a few married brothers over here, but when they can get reciprocity to that, then they show love. That's not ikhlas, because you're showing that love to get something back. But if you show just pure love for the sake of that person, then that's for the sake of Allah subhanahu. I think that is ikhlas in that action. But when it comes to ibadah, I would still hide ibadah from my spouse. You know what I'm saying? Like a tahajjud. I'm not going to wake up my like, I got up for tahajjud today. No, I'm going to try to slide out the bed and go and pray and come back. And nobody know. You know what I'm saying? Sadaqah may be harder because she's watching the bank account too. Oh, that's what we spoke about as the second category, where we said sometimes you make the action known because it's going to be encouragement for others as well.
Your spouse is like the one person who at last is like just there because there's no proving yourself really with your spouse. That's why, like, this with the man, that's what's happening with the man.
So you're saying there's no riyah between you, like you can't. I understand what you're saying. You already got a spot in their heart. How you want to see God a spot in the heart through ibadah? I still think you can show off. Wallahu alam, I still think you can show off actions in front of your spouse because you want them to see what you're doing.
Yeah, but I think that comes from a better place though, because
It could, but not necessarily. Not necessarily. I think you should have some actions that nobody knows except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the angels. Nobody.
I hope you have a long ride home.
Yes, another question?
I would have said yes.
That's it. Yes?
So I apologize.
There's a question, brother has a question.
I apologize if this was addressed because I came late.
It's okay.
Is it like one of the things that I think about when people speak about riyah is that like sometimes we're encouraged to be amongst good people.
Yes.
And because of the effect that the good people has on us.
Okay.
So
You want me to, can I add to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I know where you're going if you don't mind.
All right.
Okay. So I got you. I'll repeat the question. The question is that we're encouraged to be around good people because of the effect that they have on us, right? And that, how does that fit with riyah, basically? So there's a few things that come to mind with that. When you're in the company of righteous people, by you seeing them doing righteous, that will definitely give you encouragement to do righteous deeds as well, no doubt. I think you can still be pure in your intention of being with them. My intention of being around y'all is because when I'm around y'all, I'm a better person. I don't think there's any sign of riyah there, but rather I'm being around good people because they help me become a better person. Now, my goal is to be able to take that me that is with y'all to me by myself. Do you get what I mean? My goal is that through being and spending time with you guys, right, that makes me better. When I leave company, I'm able to keep that up. Do you get what I mean? So I got it, inshallah. So I kind of feel that good company can definitely aid you into going into khulus, ikhlas, just as bad company can pull you out of righteous actions as well. One more thing about riyah. Riyah is not only when you do an action, but when you don't do an action because people are watching as well. So we always talk about riyah as when I do it because people are watching me. We never talk about it where I don't pray because people are watching me. That's riyah as well. Because the fact is the people seeing you should not affect the action. Doing or not doing. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom. So side question here. Yes.
how is someone now that you're like a business and all of that, if you want to kind of technically showing off?
Remember, the definition of riyah, thank you for this question, because it would be missed. The question was, to repeat it, say it one more time, you said we want to be with good, you want to be a good people, you want to stay away from bad influences. How would you know good and bad influences if you don't see some of the actions? Right? So here's the deal. It's not about people seeing you. It's not about someone seeing you do subhanallah, subhanallah. It's about talabul manzila fi qulub nas. It's about you trying to seek out a position in people's heart. It's about the intention. But I don't want to make it so minute. I want you to realize it is very difficult, but at the end of the day, it's not about being seen or not. Right? It's not about whether you give a public lecture or you give sadaqah in front of people or read Quran openly. It's not the action, it's what you seek through the action. Do you understand? So just mujarrad, just alone, the action being visible doesn't mean there's riyah. As if your heart is there, like I could care less if you're watching me, I'm going to do this anyway, you could do it all openly. You could do it all openly. Right? And another aspect is, Islam is such that it's a social religion. We can't hide most of our ibadah. You know what I'm saying? Like most of our ibadah, people are going to see me. I have to, subhanAllah, isn't it amazing? We're told to do everything with ikhlas, but then you got to come to Fajr, it's public. See the balance?
Like imagine if Allah was like, have it class, pray salah at home. Okay, no one sees me anyway. But no, Allah said, have it class and do it in front of everyone. So you're constantly struggling. Constantly struggling. Right? And don't think of this, that I should wake up tomorrow and be cured. This is a daily struggle. Everyone understand? Like this is antabudullah ka'annaka tara is a lifetime process. Today I just put the map out there before you that where we're trying to get to. Okay? I hope this helped, inshallah. Yes, one more question. Last question, inshallah, just because I don't want it to get too long. Yes?
More question. Well, you talked about the things that people use to discuss nowadays, like clothes, possessions.
5 things.
Yeah, those 5 things. Now, a lot of that you said kind of relates to social media, Instagram.
Yeah, man, big time.
How do we navigate that whole spectrum?
Yo. The question was, how do we navigate the aspect of like that we're trying to get in people's hearts through social media by showing them all of these things? Yo, wallahu alam, bro. That's uncharted territory right there, man. It's dangerous to me. Honestly, a lot of us really, really thrive off those likes, man. Like a lot of people, they wouldn't know what to do if Instagram like shut down. They wouldn't know what to do. Like I thrive off people seeing me and like commenting and giving me that acceptance. So I really don't know. I hate to be like the old dude saying like don't use it too much, but like check yourself. Just check your intention, man. I mean, it's like why are you you gotta just, here's the easy way. Ask your intention before you post something. Just see your intention. Right? If your intention is maybe people will start doing khair or something like that, but if your intention is just to get, likes from people, you might have some deeper psychological issues that need to be ironed out. Now, you know what I'm saying? No, that's real. You know what I mean? Like,
that's real.
Yeah, like you might have some deeper psychological issues that you're not realizing need to be ironed out. The fact that you have to post on Instagram for people to comment on your life. So, hey, inshallah. All right.
The thing about Instagram, though, let's say you're trying to cut down on it and Facebook and all of that, but then you have everything. All lectures are posted on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
All events.
So no, one thing is me consuming, another is posting my life. I'm talking about me posting my life.
Oh, I
like
see.
this is what I ate for breakfast this morning. Like look at me again. Hey, I'm beautiful today. Like, you know what I'm saying? Look at this new fit right here. Like, I mean, if your intention is pure, Bismillah, yo, post. But so I'm not talking about consuming lectures and good content. I'm talking about us posting so much. Okay. All right, we're done, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.